Get to go to Tokyo, Japan. So,
and play for $120,000 freaking dollars, man.
$120,000. You know how many French fries that is?
That's way more French fries than you should ever eat. Don't do that.
Right, I would never spend. I wouldn't spend a penny on French fries.
It's Rune. It's Rune.
All right, we get to start off with some Rune. Lovely.
Excellent.
So more players taking our direction and banning out swords, so we actually get to see the Rune deck here. Interesting that Dirt Rune specifically was banned last match, but I like to see it here. So talk to us about new variations of Dirt. Usually in new expansions, you like to kind of test out Dirt. What do you think is good about Dirt now? Do you think it's any better than it used to be?
Yeah, actually I do, and it's because of the card that Eternity just drew. Carl is amazing, okay? If you have a turn 1 sigil, you get to play your Magic Illusionist. Then the next turn on curve, you get a 2/3 and you get a sigil.
And you gain life. That's really not a small piece. Late in the game, it can help.
Yeah, it definitely can help in the early game, especially if you're fighting against, aggro sword or, anything else that's aggressive. Gaining that 1 health can help put you out of range of being killed. But I'm incredibly happy to see Dirt Rune right now.
Before, you had the option of Runic Guardian or Mage of Nightfall, these kind of could be defensive options, could be offensive options, but they consume a sigil. Now Rune has a sigil generator that also gains life. And it's a 2/3. It's got a nice little body attached to it.
Yeah. I think this Magic Illusionist is going to be in play for a while.
Yeah. So one of the best things about Dirt now, especially with Carl and the addition of the new 1-drop sigil that has Earthright, draw a card and basically get your play point back. It has a lot more filter than it used to. Those Magic Illusionists, Magic Illusionist, if you actually get it in your opening hand, it's the best card to see in the entire deck. Will literally just sit there on repeat and just deal so much damage that you can literally just build a control deck around it like you see in Eternity's Hand. It's got Dance of Death, Mutagenic Bolt, Red Hot Ritual, Professor of Taboos, no other aggro cards at all.
Now, I don't exactly know how good Mutagenic Bolt's going to be in this particular matchup, but, unless Baad ends up, for some reason flooding the board with stuff, but I don't know how good it's going to be in this particular matchup. However, we do see that Eternity is you know what? We're going all face. He used the burn to clear the board instead of going face with the burn, just to make sure that he didn't have to make it harder for him to trade into the Magic Illusionist.
Not only that, but it kind of makes sense because you're sitting at 19, you're playing against Force, they already use DPM, so they already have a couple 0-cost fairies in hand. It makes it a lot harder for, as we see, for Roach decks to actually combo from 19 as opposed to something like 17 or 16 or whatever the case may be. Okay. So basically just trying to mitigate.
Okay, now did we just see what we just saw? Because what we just saw was Baad deciding not to play one of the 0-costs and Evo into the Halo Golem and is about to take 6 to the face. Do we agree with that?
A lot of 6 to the face here. I don't think that against Burn Rune or whatever you want to call it these days, against a deck that has a lot of burn in it, you can really afford to do that. So allowing that follower to stay in play, probably not the best of ideas, especially when you have an Evo point to give.
Now, I really like this play by Eternity. He played the Professor on a blank board. So I like this a lot because it's basically saying anything that you trade is, you're trading into my 6/5. You're not trading into this Professor,
Right,
because
and that means my next turn is going to be so much better.
Right. I love that play by him. I love it. Oh, he is trading into the Professor.
And we get to see the benefit of it. So I think that's just game, right? We've got Piercing Rune into Dance of Death into attack.
Yeah. Eternity played it perfectly.
Very well played.
Perfectly. And
I'm glad I chose him as my horse.
I feel you, man. Good job, Eternity. He played it right. I really like that empty play. He just played that matchup very solidly. He knew exactly what he was doing. And in that one turn that Baad did not play one of the 0-cost to Evo it into the 4/3, the Halo Golem, is actually what cost him.
6 damage. And more than that, also the follow-up turn of another 6 damage. It literally was 12 damage for just not throwing away a fairy and an Evo point.
Yep, he still would have had the ability to get the stuff that he needed, but I think he was just a little too greedy.
Yeah, you gotta give yourself time. Now, I'm not gonna lie, Forest is a really hard deck to play, probably one of the hardest decks in the game to play. And we're seeing how much it's taxing the players. Like, we haven't seen it win yet, and we haven't really seen the Forest players kind of play out their game plans like you'd want to see them play out, right? So,
right,
very interesting.
I agree. I would even argue to say, I would venture to say that Forest is probably the hardest deck, or most Forest decks. Aggro Forest is pretty easy, but any of the Roach specific, combo kills, that's actually really difficult. A lot of decision making involved.
What do you think? Like,
yeah,
do you play fairies here? Do you use your Evo point here? Do you use one of your bounce spells here? Like, which order do I want to do my spells in? We saw that matter in the last match we saw Forest, right? Exactly. Where he decided not to dance the death of Prime Dragon Keeper, and if he just ordered that first before the Fina, he probably would have won that game. So very small decisions, but in turn, they're game-winning or game-making decisions.
A lot of micromanagement with Forest. But we see Stormhaven from Eternity.
I like it. I
love it. I love it.
Birdkeeping Disciple making a comeback. Let's go.
Hey, that card, just to say, was never really bad. It was just kind of outclassed by other stuff. And I think right now is a great time for the card.
Yep. And we also get to see how much value these Spring Green protections are actually putting into play. After being bounced, drawing an extra card, being put back into play, increasing the power on board yet again. Like, just tons and tons and tons of value. Like, my goodness.
Now, this game is shaping up a little different than the last one.
A little different, yeah.
Yeah.
Besides, not to play the second Spring Green protection. That's an interesting choice to me.
Yeah. I think, wouldn't it have been okay to play it? I mean, you had the one floating play point. You didn't really need the board space right now. So
that, and your opponent's got Priest of the Cudgel. They're playing Haven.
Right.
So your board's going to get cleared up anyway.
Right.
But yeah, you have plenty of board space. You're not trying to combo in the next 2 or 3 turns. So plus it draws you a card when it dies. So realistically, I think just losing out on a marginal amount of value. But again, those marginal amounts of value add up.
Yep. Now I do want to say that one of the things I've been noticing with a lot of these decks that we've been seeing today, a lot of these decks have been playing pure Hearted Singer. A lot of them. I don't think I've seen a deck except for maybe the Forest lists that aren't running that card in some numbers. So for those who don't know what that card does, it's a 3-play point 1/2 that it has Fanfare, draw a card, and Last Words, draw a card. So, I mean, you're getting tons of value, and it's a follower in that of itself. And to me, in Haven lists, it sort of kind of replaces Sacred Plate, along with Globe. Yeah, I don't even like looking at Sacred Plea right now anymore.
No, Sacred Plea just doesn't look as good as it used to, especially we just have better cards now. But yeah, Singer is good. I mean, Singer is a value card. Also Cassiopeia, great value card now. Kind of like Will of the Forest, costs 1 more, but you get a 3/3 at the end of it, which is way better than nothing. So
yeah,
you'll definitely see it being replaced, Will of the Forest being replaced by Cassiopeia in most Forest decks. But yeah, Singer is just interesting. It's just really good value. You can play it like, basically it's just there. If your opponent doesn't really have like this like straight aggressive draw or like isn't doing anything crazy, you just play it out. You get a ton of value out of it.
Now we got a massive tempo turn for Eternity here. He could play his Garuda, pop the March Hares, and he's gonna have the 4/4, and he's gonna have the 4/5. He can Evo it to shoot face, trade into the Cassiopeia, go face, have a bunch of power on board.
He should 100% do that.
Yeah,
I will tell you, as a Forest player, when you go up against Tea Time into Garuda, you lose. Like, you literally can't win the game after that point unless you can combo, like, right now. The good news for Baad is, look at his hand. He's already got access to all 3 Roaches and spells he can cast, and his opponent's at 13, and he has an Evo point. He's going to win this next turn.
Yeah. Let's hope he sees it.
Okay, no, he immediately sees it. He knows.
He's like, okay, I got him. I got him.
We got him, boys. This is what happens when you actually get chip damage in, like what we were talking about, Forest getting this new early game plan. being able to just chip so much so that these early game roach combo turns actually are.
Yep. So turn 7, he knew what he was doing. He planned his turns out appropriately. Game's over.
That's how you do it right there.
Take notes, people.
Take notes. That's right. He didn't play the first one maybe especially well, but this game he knew exactly what he was doing, played it to perfection, and got there. Even against a March Hare's Tea Time into Garuda play.
Yep. So if things had played out, if maybe Eternity had just a little bit more health.
If he had one more turn or, a little bit more health, that game would have been completely, flopped. Like, literally, we would not have seen Forrest win there, so.
Right. So we're going into... Now, they both have won one. So we're going into the last game of this set. And, ooh, look at that.
Pretty.
That's pretty. I like it.
I need to get the new Dragon Leader. I 100% that's happening. Need those Evo animations in my life. My God.
Yeah, that I didn't know that on this side, like he actually called the dragon. Like I didn't know that.
Unfreaking believable, man. Anyway, I'll stop talking about it. I'll stop gushing over it. Okay, so well, this looks like more like traditional ramp. We see the polyphonic roar, which is kind of a key.
Yeah. Of course, as we know, traditional ramp dragon has a slight problem against Stormhaven decks. And by slight, I mean a very large problem against
especially with the
deck.
curve that Eternity has. I mean, he's got a Hollow Dogma next turn to pop the Beast Call. He's got a Bird Keeping Disciple for 4. He even has the late game Taurus in hand already, which means his mid game needs to shore up a little bit, but his early game's exactly what you want to see.
Yep. But we see Baad he is ramping. He is ramping. So he definitely has, he could have rather some ways to deal with this. But he can't play Sybil yet because it's not. Ooh, okay. So Breath of the Salamander clearing that up. Like, get it out of here.
Basically has all the tools you'd want for Dragon. Early ramp, have the Sybil for the life gain plus the Evo next turn to go right back up to 20, and that'll project you right into Polyphonic Roar, which means Eternity is going to have to win through a very early Polyphonic Roar, usually for mid-range decks and tempo decks. Kind of a steep hill to climb.
It is a very steep hill to climb. I can tell you right now from experience that the last thing you want to see playing any variation of Haven is an early Polyphonic Roar. Okay? It's not what you want to be seeing. Ever.
No, especially when you're on the draw against Dragon. Dragon's ramped a ton and is able to play Polyphonic Roar that early. We're talking about right now turn 6 Polyphonic Roar with a board that has a Sybil on it already that has to be dealt with.
Yep. And again, unfortunately, this Polyphonic Roar is very good.
Ooh.
Well, no, I think you just played a Polyphonic Roar. I don't even think you look at that behind.
I think so too, yeah. Especially against Haven, where they have a ton of amulets, where you really, Haven has probably the best protection against Bahamut of all the classes. Especially Tempo Haven with the Divine Bird songs and Beast Call Arias and all that kind of stuff. So basically just doing what you said, playing out that Polyphonic Roar.
To make it worse, Baad has what was once the menace of the game, Grimnir in hand. So I can't imagine he doesn't Evo to go face here. Just push as much damage.
I don't think that was the correct Evo though, because now as we know,
Grimnir is just now. Yeah, Grimnir is gonna clean this up easily, no problem. If he had done it the other way, he could have at least forced an Evo, the last Evo, to trade into that bird, but he did it that way, spreading the stats around, which I guess protected it a little bit from Breath of the Salamander, but not from Grimnir.
Right, and you've already seen a Breath of the Salamander, so usually play to your odds, right? Like, what is he more likely to have, another Breath or a Grimnir? So,
yeah,
just interesting small choices that lead to big game-changing, turns in the game.
Yep.
So, we thinking like Globe plus Garuda here? We thinking fill up the board?
I think that's your play. You have to do some damage. You have to be able to just fight through this right now. And let's say he would do 7 damage. So in a way, he could actually set up a lethal here. he could play the Globe plus Garuda. He could evolve the Garuda, trade into the ward, he would be hitting face for 6, would put him at 7. Next turn, he could play Taurus, evolve it, and that's game. In the event that no ward comes out.
So I think, yeah, that has to be the play.
Yep.
I think
so
Eternity sees the line.
No! I mean, it kind of does the same thing.
This is the same thing. This is the same thing.
But... Yeah, I guess it does the same thing.
Oh,
no!
But he didn't go face!
No! He didn't
That's okay, though. It's okay, though. It's okay. He decided to clear the entire board, so he's not taking any damage, essentially giving him an extra turn. Good thing he cleared that dragon, because he actually would have died if he didn't.
He actually would have died. Yeah, wow. Amazing.
So he made the right play.
Wow, he did make the right play. Wow. Okay, I stand corrected, bruh.
I don't know if it's going to matter much, though, because, like we said, Polyphonic Roar value, that's a 5/5 with Storm every single turn. Now with Zeus in the hand of Baad, I don't really know if Eternity can really muster up enough damage before next turn for it to even matter. Even if he can clear board again, Zeus coming down next turn is going to prevent all the damage to his face, and then Polyphonic Roar is just going to keep pumping those dragons out.
Yeah, and he has absolutely no answer to this Polyphonic Roar. This is why a Haven player never wants to see an early Polyphonic Roar. And Baad actually ramped very well this game.
Oh, yeah.
So,
turret 6 Polyphonic Roar, yeah. Absolutely good.
So you never want to see that. Ever. Because now all of your decisions are just, but I don't want to die.
Exactly. I can't play my game plan and keep forcing damage through. I actually also have to realize that I could just die at any moment.
Yep. So he will, if he wants it, be able to push some damage here, but
I think he's just going to go sit front again.
Zeus
I honestly would push face, and trade with the dragon. Perfect. So this is exactly the play I would have made. And this allows for Taurus lethal setup with any follower that remains in play. But Zeus
kind of put the damper on that a bit.
He might not play Zeus, though, here. He might go with, like, a Breath of the Salamander turn. He might go with Sybil here. He's got options.
Well, Breath of the Salamander would just straight up take away the board. So he's definitely not playing Zeus. So that means he's playing Breath of the Salamander.
Could be Sybil. Is Sybil, looks like.
Oh, okay, he's not playing Breath. He's just... Okay, it looks like you're right. He is going to go in the Sybil route.
Playing super defensive. He knows he has the win in hand. He just needs for his opponent not to kill a follower for one turn.
Well, I don't really know what Eternity can do here. His hand's not lending well to the idea of winning right now. He doesn't have any Garudas, no way of getting any kind of burst, other than maybe the Taurus. But I mean, the Taurus
comes down, kills Sybil, and then Baad wins. I think that's kind of how it works.
Yeah, because then there's 15 damage.
Yep.
You know?
Old dragon, new dragon, plus the God of Thunder himself.
Yep. And so much for the horse, man. Sorry, Eternity.
No, but yay, Baad.
Indeed. They both played. I think they did a very good job.
Yeah, they played this matchup very well.
It's just unfortunate that early Polyphonic Roar was set the tone for the game.
Yep.
Baad ends up taking the win, and you know, Polyphonic Roar ramp is something that came to be really powerful. You know, especially towards the later stages. It's interesting when we think about playing Haven, right? Which is, I don't know if it's nearly as dominant as it was in the last expansion.